Hello, Dr. Lee. My name is Rainer Zarko, as you already know. Today I will be presenting on the Menlo Park Fire District. I had an interview with one of the cadets who was very helpful throughout the whole interview. So by starting, I asked him, why did you want to work in this industry? The cadet responded that this was his childhood dream that he's always had. When he had a personal experience when he was young. They had a family dog that they all loved, and the dog ended up following one of the water wheels. His parent and his families weren't unable to get the dog out, and the dog was stressing out as the water was covering up to the neck. It was a very traumatizing experience for him when the dog was in the well. But then they called the local fire department, where they came out and they were able to get the dog out of the well successfully without harming the dog or any of the cadets in the fire department. And that was a very traumatizing experience he had in a positive way, but in a negative way as well. Because when he looked at the firefighters, he saw them as heroes, as the community heroes. So he wanted to be just like that, and he wanted to give back to the community. And he realized that firefighters will do much more than just turn off fires. So I asked him to tell me a little bit more about himself. I covered up his name because I want to keep his identity safe, because he was recently diagnosed with COVID-19. I hope he's doing great, and he looked like a very strong, healthy firefighter, so I'm pretty sure he's doing great. He started with the Menlo Park Fire Department. He's been there about a year, but he was working with the Stanford Emergency Medical Technicians paramedic for 4 years. That's where he originally started. He graduated from the Community College of San Mateo, which he received his associate's degree in fire science and his certificate in emergency medical technician. He was a full-time employee, and he was volunteering as a paramedic. He dropped out of college, where I will discuss in the next slide. So after graduating from CSM Community College, he transferred to CSU East Bay, right in the Bay Area. He ended up dropping out of East Bay because he took a semester, and he said it wasn't a very experience that he liked. He was unhappy all the time, and he just decided that college wasn't for him. So he took a very risky route, because he wanted his bachelor to make him stand out from all the firefighters. So he took a very risky route, but in the end, he said it was a win-win for him. When he dropped out of college, he started working for UPS just until he started going into the career that he wanted to go into, where he started building up money just in case he did have to go unemployed for a couple of months until he went through the paramedic training. He was working as UPS and volunteering for the paramedics. So right after he got done with his 9 to 5 shift, he would quickly go home, eat something, dress, and go volunteer. He would get about 4 hours of sleep a week, and when everyone expects the weekend to sleep in and get some rest, he enjoys the weekend because he could put more hours into volunteering. So I was like, what was the toughest call that you were assisted to? This was December 31st of 2019, and they were dispatched to a 2-vehicle involvement accident, where a mother, a daughter, and a dog were seriously injured, and they crashed into an 18-wheeler. So the semi truck obviously didn't suffer much damage from it. This was very, very traumatizing, because when they retrieved the young lady, it was a young girl, 12 years old, sitting in the back seat with a dog. The dog and the mom were unresponsive when they were retrieving the girl from the car. As they put her in the ambulance, they went back to assist the mother, and they checked her pulse because she wasn't talking to them, and she had no pulse. This is where they quickly had to cut the car open so they can have a much more better angle to get into the driver's seat and get the mother out. Unfortunately, they had to pronounce the mother deceased in the accident, as well as the dog. They tried everything they could to get the mother's pulse or heart rate going up. They tried AED, and CPR. Unfortunately, the mother had passed away, and the cadet raised his head, and he looked at the ambulance, and he looked at the young girl, crying that she wanted to see her mother, and he said that his heart shattered into millions of pieces, knowing that she had just lost her mother and her dog. So I asked him if you were to change your career, go back in time and change whatever he was going to change. I was like, what would it be? He laughed and he said that there was not one thing that he would change in his career. He said that it all worked out. He connected the pieces, and he said he enjoys what he does. He wakes up every morning, happy to go to work. His schedules are 3 days on, 4 days off. So he's 3 days on, 4 days off, and he said he works 24 hours for 3 days, and he enjoys those 4 days off with his family. He just recently got married, so he's very excited for that, and he's excited to start a family. So yeah, that's that. And I asked him if you can give me some advice or tips on how to become a better firefighter in the future. He said, obviously, go through the training. It's very intensive, but at the end, it's very worth it. He said to be physically fit, eat healthy, stay fit, because you will need basically your whole body to do what you do. And to stay healthy, always love what you do. He says, no matter what, in the end, love what you do. And he said, have a strong heart. You will see some traumatizing stuff in the fire field. He said they had guys coming knocking on the door of the fire department because either, like he said recently, they had a guy who had fallen off a motorcycle and he had broken up his arm, and the chain caught his arm, which was literally hanging by a bone. So you'll see some traumatizing stuff, and you have to deal with them so you don't stress out the patient. You have to leave all problems at work. That's the huge key. He's like, leave all your stress, leave all your depression at home, at work. If you do have any of that, obviously get help if you need it, but don't take all your problems back home because it will affect your families. And he said, be aware of all the things you will see. So I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the firefighters at Menlo Park Fire Department. They were very helpful by directing me to the rookie, who obviously was the much more better candidate for this interview. After going through this interview, I completely forgot to ask the cadet what was his salary like, how much he get paid, which I feel good about that, because towards this whole interview, not once did money come to my head, which shows how much I love what I want to do. It's not for the money, it's because I want to wake up every day and go to a career like this. Thank you. Have a great day.